How do you think a civil rights and liberty protection organization should operate? Would it only look at cases based on political leanings, or should it be politically neutral? On this video, we're not going to get knee-deep into political corruption, but just a little to make a few points, because there's simply too much. However, if you want to see our digital content regarding corruption, go to www.urgentcauses.locals.com or click on the link below to take you there. It's pretty compelling. Everything has become political that shouldn't be. All of our federal institutions, all of our schools, sports and entertainment, news, food, even the military and religion. All this is a recipe for tyranny. In our hyper-divided, color-focused political environment, should a protector of individual rights and liberties be colorblind? Most of us would say, well, yeah, of course. And most of us would also agree with Dr. Martin Luther King. Judge a man not by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character. Most of us. For some reason, this quote is not spoken much anymore, and we find that quite interesting. Many people on both sides of the aisle believe that the ACLU and other organizations of the like have lost their way in a time of political tyranny to constitutional freedoms. The ACLU was founded in 1920 to defend and preserve the individual rights and liberties guaranteed to every person in this country by the Constitution and laws that are supposed to be followed in the United States. However, seem to be cherry-picked for a two-tier justice system of corruption. One for the establishment and one for the opposition. This is clearly unsustainable if we are going to have an honest conversation, and more so, it is extremely unethical and is a certain path to tyranny. Just look at history. And whether you believe in the America First movement or not, this is about all of our constitutional rights and liberties, regardless of a political affiliation. The ACLU has approximately 1,200,000 members and an annual budget of more than $300 million, and works through lobbying efforts and litigation. However, has become increasingly a left-wing organization, picking and choosing what to challenge based on a left-wing lens of issues, which at its core violates civil rights. On January 6, 2021, things got ugly very quickly. But who really caused the ugly? Was it the people expressing their right to assemble? Or was it some nefarious federal actors exacerbating a tense moment for politics?
There was no racial angle to January 6th. What was January 6th? Well, there was destruction of property, which we're totally opposed to. But what motivated it? Why were all those people there? Well, for the most part, a year later, it's very clear January 6th was essentially what it appeared to be. Thousands of ordinary American citizens, voters, people who believe in our democracy far more fervently than Liz Cheney ever has, came to Washington because they sincerely believed democracy had been thwarted. They believed the presidential election was unfair, and they have a right to believe that. And by the way, in many ways, they were correct. The presidential election was unfair, and you don't have to get into anything about voting machines to believe that. Consider the facts that we know. As Election Day approached, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T shut down the Trump's campaign's ability to send text messages. And then Google, this has never even been reported, but it is widely known, Google prevented the Trump campaign from raising money over Gmail. There's no precedent for that. The Trump re-election campaign lost millions in donation. That was the whole point of it. So the most powerful companies on planet Earth, heavily regulated by the government, benefiting from government contracts, swung behind Joe Biden and tried to stop Donald Trump, the sitting president, in his tracks. Is that fair? Is that the democracy that Liz Cheney is always lecturing you about? Honestly, what's the answer? These are legitimate questions. Instead of answering them, Cheney has pushed to throw protesters in jail. Okay, if someone broke the law, punish that person. That applies to BLM activists as much as it does to QAnon people. We're for enforcing the law fairly, equitably. But we also think that as you do that, if a mass of people show up angry at the Capitol, you should at least pause for a second if you believe in democracy and ask, what are they angry about? Maybe we should address their concerns. But Liz Cheney won't. And those aren't the only questions that she won't answer. Here are a few other questions she won't answer. Who is it, this person dressed in black who we were told dropped pipe bombs all over Capitol Hill the night before on January 5th? You're seeing surveillance video of that person right now. You'll notice that this person, this mad bomber, is on his cell phone. Well, that's interesting, because according to the criminal indictments that we have seen, the feds have used cell phone geolocation to arrest dozens of people who were present on January 6th. But not this person. They haven't found this person. They haven't even identified this person. They've stopped talking about this person. Why is that, Liz Cheney? And while we're at it, here's another question. What exactly was the role of Ray Epps in the chaos of January 6th? We ask because Ray Epps is on video on both January 5th and January 6th, encouraging people to enter the Capitol building, which is to say to break federal law. And as he says this in this video, you'll notice people in the crowd immediately identify him as a, quote, Fed. Watch.
We need to go in to the Capitol. Let's go! I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. Peacefully. Fed. Peacefully. Okay, Bob, grab the word. As soon as the president's done speaking, we go to the Capitol. The Capitol's this direction.
Well, that's an amazing pair of videos. Look, we're not prosecutors, but by the standards of January 6th, if you take a look at what people are spending a year in jail for, that looks like a crime. Ray Epps encouraging others to breach the Capitol. And yet, as far as we know, Ray Epps has not been prosecuted or even charged. I mean, maybe he has. Tell us if you know differently, Liz Cheney. But if he hasn't, how come? Did Ray Epps have any contact with federal law enforcement agencies before the Capitol was stormed on January 6th? Liz Cheney has called us, quote, unpatriotic for asking that question. But it's not an unpatriotic question. It's a legitimate, very straightforward question. And American citizens have a right to know the answer, but Liz Cheney won't answer it. Why? We asked her to come on tonight and explain. She refused, of course, because she's a coward. Most neocons are. But until Liz Cheney answers that basic question, there is no reason to play along with her charade. There is certainly no reason that any American citizen should even consider sending personal text messages to her or the January 6th committee. If they're going to lie to us and hide essential information from the public, there's no reason to participate, no matter what they say. Now to a related story unfolding in the Capitol that you probably haven't heard a lot about. A woman called Kathleen Landerkin is the deputy warden at the D.C. jail. That's where many of the January 6th defendants are being held in appalling conditions. Some of them seem like they've been effectively tortured. Now, maybe that's because Landerkin, we're just speculating here, is a rabid, hateful partisan activist who is so inflamed with ideology she doesn't bother to hide it. We have a lot of her social media, which was public. For example, in this one she tweets, quote, if F everyone who supports Trump. She said she won't let Fox News be shown on jail televisions, etc., etc. At one point she attacks Marjorie Taylor Greene, who tried to tour the jail and suggests she should be in prison, a sitting member of Congress.
What is the truth? Does the truth matter to everyone? Can politics ever return to the truth? Are politics and truth an oxymoron? These issues are taboo and have been ignored for decades, and all important questions with it. And in many political circles, truth is an inconvenience. Perhaps a very new approach is warranted. Here are the main topics of the ACLU off of their website. You will notice that the human rights that are addressed are specific to a certain type of person and not everyone. And therein lies the problem. They are political. When you go to the ACLU website and go to free speech or privacy filters, there is not one case involving the copious amounts of free speech and privacy violations from any of the big tech giants, which is very revealing for sure on the ACLU's political lens in which they operate through. Then go to the Civil Liberties filter, and you will notice the cases presented are all about Donald Trump relinquishing his taxes and nothing else. They apparently do not care for Donald Trump's civil liberties, especially when the FBI removed them all. And what about all of the other political targeting by every large federal institution that has been going on since the Obama presidency, which are also huge civil liberty violations, and there is more. And this is our case in point. 5 ways the American Civil Liberties Union is politically selective, regardless of your personal views of these civil liberties. Political targeting. Political prisoners of January 6th being treated worse than the most dangerous terrorists and war criminals in the world. Political targeting by the FBI, CIA, NSA, DOD, IRS, the Biden administration. Parents fighting CRT and being targeted by the Biden Justice Department as domestic terrorists by the demands of the teachers' unions. Censorship violations. Additional civil rights violations from big tech censorship and other left-wing corporations. Communist Democrats in Congress bullying corporations to withdraw advertising dollars to cancel people and businesses out of existence. And where is the ACLU? Privacy. The ACLU's core issue. Facebook and other big tech companies that violate privacy constantly and seem to get a pass because of their political affiliations. The right to bear arms. Racial justice. Critical racist theory. A Marxist indoctrination to children. And that white people are inherently racist and are targeted for the color of their skin in a racist manner to justify a Marxist, anti-Christian indoctrination in schools. This has been instituted mostly by the communist teachers' unions. And where is the ACLU on this one? Only when you realize the truth can you fix the core problems of this country for the good of all people. So please, like where you can, donate if you can, and share this very important quest. For updates, please go to www.urgentcauses.locals.com. And we thank you for your time. Please stick around for a comprehensive look at the project details and what you can get. We have an amazing offer for donations for a limited time. Here are some benefits you'll get as a contributor. We help protect against political targeting by the federal government institutions, government officials, social media, corporations, etc., using the best constitutional lawyers in the country. Then through our discovery process, educate the public on the case and the unconstitutional nature of it using all marketing resources. We will act as a liaison between our members and their state representatives with an open dialogue and publicly recorded transparency. Use petitions and other tools to influence policy that meets the needs of all American citizens. We will offer moral support to those targeted and those who feel pressure from family, coworkers, employers, social media, etc. Offer education and education channels so our members are all on the same page and know the truth, no matter how ridiculous you think it is. offer security for civil discourse, rallies, and other events, certificate of compliance for businesses that share your values, and so much more. Join today. Join a union of people who want to restore and preserve our freedoms state by state. We will make things better together, fighting against police state legislation and protecting freedom. Join the Freedom Project. Help us fight for your freedom before it's too late. And if you donate today, I have a very exciting offer for you. You can actually become a charter member of this very special union, which is a big deal. Time is limited on charter membership, which will allow you to buy in at one price and never have another monthly obligation, regardless of all the new services that will come down the road. We are doing this to jumpstart our fundraising efforts with a bang, and also to thank donors that are very serious about their freedoms. This is a very unique opportunity and would carry a type of status, since you would be a founding charter member on your profile ID, which is extremely limited. Simply go to GiveSendGo/GYC7 for details and become a charter member of an organization that will pick up where the ACLU has failed us, and will be completely focused on the constitutionality of the issues on your behalf to your state and federal representatives, and more than duplicating your own outreach to your elected officials, along with hundreds of thousands of others collectively. This will send a resounding message to the swamp that has let you down for decades. We will also isolate companies with your best interests in mind and warn you about those that do not have your best interests. And to stay informed on the progress that we're making, go to our locals.com community at urgentcauses.locals.com. If you don't do it now, when will be the right time? And be sure to watch the featured film Politics Gone Wild, The Means to Justify the End of Freedom, which you may find on the link below at urgentcauses.locals.com, or wait till the end to click directly on the screen if you're not already on any of these websites. Collusion between the establishment, judicial branches, and corporations evolving into corporate fascism designed to bypass Congress to seize control. Never before seen in U.S. history to eradicate one man, one movement. You won't believe it until you see it. The swamp is deeper than you could ever have imagined. This is another way to help support our fundraising effort and learn the truth about what is really happening to our great country. And soon to come, the Politics Gone Wild series, short films covering one very important topic an episode, which will also be on urgentcauses.locals.com.